Hey everybody, it's your bro Luke Feast, back at you with another video. I recently made a new episode of Trey Fisher. I also already wrote the next episode on script and I'm preparing it already. In this video, I'm going to go into how I make and prepare my Trey Fisher episodes. I'm going to get onto the drafting, the writing, the voice acting, compiling the audio, and some animation. So stay tuned and I hope you enjoyed this video. Before I even begin to write the episode on a script writing software, I first have to plan it out on paper and just jot out what's gonna happen. This will make script writing a lot easier. Trey Parker and Matt Stone, the creators of South Park, have this really interesting way of writing their scripts, and I do it kinda in the same way. They have this method where this happens, but then this happens, therefore this happens.
What should happen between every beat that you've written down is either the word therefore or but. Come up with an idea and it's like, okay, this happens, right? And then this happens. No, it should be this happens and therefore this happens. Then this happens and that affects this and that does to that, and that's why you get a show that feels like, okay, this to that to this to that, but this, here's the complication to that.
And it is a great way to plan out your scripts, and that's how I do it. Let's go through an example of one of my episodes. Trey and his friends go to a rap concert and get inspired to write their own music. Therefore, they upload it to YouTube. But then Dr. Dre and his friend Snoop Dogg sees the video. Therefore, they get famous and start touring. That's the story structure I use for making my stories. And then I can get onto the script writing software. So this is the script writing software that I use. So this is the script I wrote for the last episode where they go back to 1776. Each page equals about a minute. So I want to hit like 17 to 19 minutes each episode. That means I'll need about 17 pages or more for each script. So I type it right here. I have script writing videos about how you can actually script write, but basically there's a lot of detail and specifics that go into script writing, especially if you want to sell it to producers and stuff, but this is just for my own hobby. So I have to get this script done in like a couple days so I can start animating it, because I want to get an episode done every month. So once that episode comes out, then I start script writing around the next couple days. And then once I finish the script writing, I get onto the voice acting. Then I get onto the voice acting. I have this homemade pea stopper I made. It's pretty much a cylinder I found in the garage, and I just wrapped a towel around it. And what it does, I put this clip mic into this little thing, and then when I talk into the microphone through the towel, it takes out harsh vowels like p and buh, so it just sounds nicer. I also, before I voice act, do vocal warm-ups. If I want my enunciation to be better, I can do this one where I go like, it helps your lips warm up for enunciation. You just pretty much do this. There's also another vocal warm-up. If you want to be able to hit different octaves, you go like, go up and down with your voice, and it helps warm up your vocals. Toy boat, 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 toy boat. Also learned how to do that in theater because I guess they did that a lot to practice enunciation. And I kind of practiced it myself. Toy boat, 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 toy boat. Practicing hard to say things like that can help with your vocal warm-ups. Once I get onto the vocal warm-ups, I just take the script and say the lines. Where is the script? These are the screenplays I wrote for the past 5 episodes and one new upcoming episode for Trey Fisher. So this is the rap band one, the one where they become famous rappers. Season 1, episode 4. I'm just gonna voice a couple lines. Oh shit. Ah! So let's just do 2 lines. How about I pretty much just voice Trey in my normal voice. Hey guys, I wrote some lyrics for our rap band. And then for Joe, I kind of make him sound jockey. Already? I notice if I make my facial muscles change, it's easier to sound like Joe. I don't know. And then Ethan's voice is more like a yawn. It took me a really long time to figure out the kind of voice I wanted for Ethan. I realized having a high register like a yawn, like this, like, oh. That's kind of how you go for Ethan. Hey guys, after school, let's all write a song. And then I pretty much read all the lines. And once I'm done with that, I get on to compiling the audio. Now, I'm going to get on to compiling the audio. Now I'm going to get on to how I compiled the audio. This is Premiere Pro, a video editing software. So I'm just going to go to New Project. I'm just going to call this Sample. So what I do is I go to the audio file we recorded, which is right here. We can just make a new sequence. I just call it audio. And we can just drag this in. That doesn't matter because we're not using the video. We're just using the audio. We can unlink that. So here's the first line. Hey guys, I wrote some lyrics for our rap band. And that's just what I voiced today. I can take that audio, and I do this for every single line of the shows I make. So those are just 3 lines that I'm gonna animate. Usually it goes out to 17 minutes. This is just 10 seconds and an example. So what I do is I go to another sequence and I just call it A. I copy the first line that they say and I put it into this, and then I export it. But I do not export it as an MP3 file. Reason being is because Adobe Animate doesn't accept MP3 files. So we have to export it as an AIFF file. This is the episode I'm working on. And then I compile it into scenes. So this would be scene 1. And then I do A1 for audio 1 and export that. We don't need that anymore. And then I export the next audio frame, and then the last one. Takes longer when you have 17 minutes of audio to export. So now that we have the audio exported, now I'm going to get onto the animation. Now I'm going to get onto the animation. So I'm going to use a software called Adobe Animate. So I'm just going to go New File. And when you click New File, it gives you some options. You can make it 4K, you can make it HD, you can choose the frame rate, yada yada. So now, we got a whole blank document. This is the canvas, this is the library panel, and this is the timeline. I'm gonna add some folders. I always add folders for blinking and the audio, maybe the location where they are at. So we can drag those particular audio scenes in. So the audio frames we made, we can drag the audio files we made into the audio folder. I also have all these pre-saved drawings in a folder, so we can drag in the blinking. These are all the blinkings I have for the characters. I also got locations saved. Let's say they're at the high school. I don't know where they're at, maybe they're in the hallway. I don't import the characters individually anymore. What I do is I go to File, Open, and have these characters saved on a different project and the mouth movements. And that will link to the frame picker tool, mouth frames, so we can just copy that. And these are all the mouth flaps that they use to talk. We can just copy Joe's body movements. Trey, Joe, and Ethan are the ones we voiced. So we can just copy those and paste them into here. We got all the files organized. We can drag out a frame. So one of the audio files we voiced, we can just drag it into the canvas and it goes into the timeline. If you realize, oh no, it's not making any noise, it only makes noise when I play it. That's because you have to go to click the layer, click sync, and make it stream and not event. That way you can scroll through it and hear the vowels. So let's just set up the scene. Let's add a layer for the background. Right here, let's just say it's this background, I don't care. We can add a layer for the characters. I got a YouTube comment saying, why don't you just compile all the body frames so you don't have to re-import the bodies? So I thought that was a good idea, so I did that. So now we got all these body frames saved in the frame picker, and he can like turn his body whatever we choose. I'm gonna make Trey right here. We can choose what kind of head movement we want, through the frame picker tool. And then I add a layer for his pupils and mouth. We can just add his eyebrows on a different layer, on that same layer with his mouth. And then I got the mouth frame picker tool. So we got all these mouth movements right here.
Hey guys, I wrote some.
And it's gonna loop. They're all gonna loop. That's normal, that's okay. What you do is you click the object and you click loop single frame. Make it single frame. So now it's not looping anymore, it's just a single frame. I'm gonna add a layer for Joe and Ethan, whatever. But this is pretty much how I do it. Okay, so now that we got the scene pretty much set up with all the characters, we can start animating. I'm gonna zoom into Trey, and then you can add a keyframe, use the onion layer to see what's behind it. Maybe his eyebrows move up. So this is essentially how I make my episodes. And then you can use the frame picker tool to change where the head's angling. Maybe he moves it this way, and then you have to move his pupils with his face. And then with the frame picker tool, you can use that on the mouth too. And every vowel he says, we can click the mouth. Maybe he goes heh, a vowel, e. So you just add mouth movements for every vowel he says. So yeah, that's pretty much how I do it. I'm gonna stop that video there. Stay tuned for more Toons, films, and music, and have a great day.
These Toons.